You know what I just realized? Snaz, the program I used to do the countdown, it skips 2. It goes 3, 1, 0. I just realized that. Morning, everybody. How's it going? And making tech sense, you're right. Here we go. So, a couple things, kind of a lot of updates, actually. I'm going to cover some stuff that we went through last week on the IPv6 stuff because Brian and I worked with Vu from support, went through and found a ton of information about IPv6 and /126 prefixes. So I want to go through that and cover that with you because it's important to know, for one. Move out of my blinds light here. And then the other thing is Bharath is here. So Bharath, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining. He is our resident ICX Ansible guru. So he and I have kind of talked about some different stuff over the past couple days. We did a podcast that came out yesterday with Marcelo, and we went through it. There's been a ton of work that's been done on their side to really get those packages put together and out there for everybody. So I at least want to showcase them and show you where it's at. Keep in mind the modules that are there, it's version 1. So there's some things that aren't there yet, but they are coming. I probably can't divulge the entire roadmap to you because it's subject to change, and I don't even have a copy of it anyways. But in the conversations I've had with Bharath, there is more coming, so you'll see more of that stuff soon. But this will really get you a start on it. So let's talk about the IPv6 piece of it first. We got stuck in a position where we were using /126 prefixes on our point-to-point links, and DHCP v6 wasn't working. Okay. When I initially sat down and built out the IPv6 lab that we used, I worked with one of our network ops engineers, super intelligent guy, and he worked on the initial rollout of IPv6 for the corporate network. Okay, well, the point-to-point links they used were /64s, so this never even dawned on him or I throughout time that this would pop up. So, after looking at, I didn't read it because I did, but Brian went through and looked at the RFC to see how it was written, and Vu worked with engineering and had some information from them about our IPv6 implementation is written exactly off of the RFC for /126s. And the way a 126 works is you have 4 usable v6 addresses in there. You have, the first hextet would be your prefix address. Then you have your first usable address. Then the next address in sequence is an anycast address. And then finally, your fourth address in that prefix is another usable address. So if you end up in a position to where so take, for example, we use :0 /126. That gives us 0, 1, 2, and 3 that are usable. 0 is not a usable address on a point-to-point link because it's the prefix address. 1 is. 2 is not because you can't unicast to an anycast address. So you would have to IP your links or IPv6 your links 1 on one side, 3 on the other, because that way you're removing the anycast address out of it and it doesn't come into play at all. And so we kind of had to fight through that a little bit and test it. And I've reset the lab for what we're doing today, so I can't show it to you, but keep that in mind. Don't use the anycast address in a /126 on a point-to-point link, because what the DHCP server is doing is it's receiving the request from that link, from the IPv6 address on the point-to-point link. It's not coming from the VE, it's coming from the point-to-point link. And just so you're aware, with DHCP helper addresses in v4, it works the exact same way. The request comes from that point-to-point link. We just don't have limitations with subnetting on those links today, right, in v4. But in v6 we do. So what was happening was the DHCP server was unicasting that response back to that point-to-point link, but the point-to-point link had an anycast address on it, and so the link was dropping it. So hopefully that makes sense. As we kind of go through some of this stuff, we'll look at it a little bit further and show you some additional things with v6, I'm sure, over time. But I wanted to get that out there so that you were fully well aware of it. Yeah, and Brian's saying that this is true for any v6 range, with the exception of the /127, and he's spot on, he's dead right. So any cast addresses exist in there, you just have to know where they're at and kind of be aware of that. So hopefully that helps make sense and clear some of that up. It was not an expectation on my end, and that's my fault. I probably didn't go through and look at the RFC close enough, but putting v6 addresses on a point-to-point link, I didn't wake up that day and think, oh, I'm gonna have to read an RFC today to figure this out. So Vu was very helpful. Brian was extremely helpful. We kind of worked through it, tested it. It does work. So you have full awareness now. You know what we know. And the funny thing is, I had a friend of mine that was working until 3 o'clock in the morning that night doing an IPv6 rollout, and I called him that day and told him, and he was like, oh no, because he used a bunch of 126s. So yeah, but their environment's different. So anyways, that's what we know. All right, so let's talk Ansible a little bit. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through all the steps of physically installing Ansible. I'm gonna be using a CentOS 7 box. It's patched, it's updated, it's upgraded. It went from a minimum install up to, just the patched version of it. So think Windows Update. I have SCP installed and running. I'll talk about some of the current limitations with that. And then we'll just kind of go through some of the playbooks that exist in the modules that have been created and kind of showcase that for you and show you what we're doing with it and some of the different functions and features and operations you can do with it and how it will really streamline and simplify your life a little bit. Full disclosure, I guess the best way to put it would be an idiot savant when it comes to Linux. So I've worked in Linux over the course of my career. I'm not an expert in it. I don't pretend to be an expert in it. I probably know enough to be dangerous. So, and that's a good thing when we look at this scenario as well, because you don't have to be an expert in this to do it, right? I mean, I think the biggest conversation that's always come up is, how do I take a network engineer and turn him into an Ansible engineer? Well, very simply. I mean, you install the packages, you install the modules, you install Ansible, and you're done. And that's it. And then you just work in the playbooks, and instead of having to manually configure, 3, 6, 15, 100 devices, now you just do it automatically with Ansible and you're done. And it's pretty slick. So hopefully that will help making text engine. So you and I are in the same boat. We're barely Linux literate. But we can work through it, right? So it's really super simple. This is recorded. I've gone through and tested this 8 ways from Sunday. I also have snapshots of the host that I'm using. So I have one where Ansible is not installed, and I have one where it's installed and working. So if this thing blows up, it's not going to destroy the stream. I'll just hit the cheap button and go in and flip the snapshot, and we'll go that way. So, okay. So with that said, let's do this. I'm going to work in 2 different software applications today. One, I'm going to use Royal TS, which is how all of my connections are built. The other one I'm going to use it's called Visual Studio Code. And if you're not using this and you're working on files that exist on a Linux system, I highly recommend that you use it. It creates an SSH connection to it. You can browse the file system. You can open a file. You can modify it in there instead of having to use VI or Nano or whatever you're using. I'm not a VI guy, just so you know. I don't like it. It gives you that flexibility to do that. It gives you a shell, everything. So those are the 2 programs I'm going to be working in. Royal TS, I can make the text bigger on it, obviously. But Visual Studio, I can't. So I can't increase the font. So if you can't see it and it's a problem, let me know, and we'll jump in, and I'll just do it through the command line on the Linux box. Yeah, and Brian makes a really good point. I mean, the playbooks I'm going to showcase in here, I think what Barath and that team did is really, really smart, because they looked at the playbooks. To me, look like something you would do at mass scale, right? You would do copying your config out to your SCP or TFTP server. And in this case, the module that's there for copying the config out is using SCP, which I'm a fan of, because if you think about it, your configs contain sensitive data, so why not use secure copy, right, versus TFTP? The limitation right now is software loads, so pushing software to the ICXs right now is there via SCP, but it can't use the manifest file. So that functionality is coming in the next version, so I won't showcase that piece of it. But if you want to sit down and build out, your own playbook that allows for that, you could absolutely do that. There's no reason why you can't. But I mean, kudos to Baroth and that team, because they put together everything I think that you would look at and say, oh, this is something I would do at scale. There's certain things you're going to look at, and it's easier just to SSH into the box, run your commands, and be done with it, right? So there's a careful balance there, and that's a really good point that Brian brings up. But as you go through it and you manage it, you're going to figure that out in a pretty big hurry, right? I mean, you're going to know. So as we go through it and do it, you'll see it's really interesting. It's actually really, really slick. I like it. I've used 2 different forms of automation. One of my really, really good friends who I admire and respect to death, Joe Abbe, he built some Python scripting for us, and it uses YAML playbooks that actually push configs out, but it's more of a manual thing where you're putting commands into it. I've used that. I've also used Ansible. You know, for a lot of what I do, I see advantages with both, but I'm working in a lab environment. I'm not dealing with a live production environment. So I'm going to get benefit from both, right? Production environments, you might get the majority of the benefits going to come from just using Ansible automation and saying, hey, we need to push. The first thing we're going to do is push a banner out, right? We want to use a message of the day banner, throw something in there so when people log in, they know what it is. That's really simple, right? And the module's built, and it's really, really cool. Yeah, so, and this is, you know, some of this stuff we're gonna kind of learn together and go through it and see it, because I haven't tested every single module. I've tested the ones that I wanted to make sure, you know, all of this stuff kind of ties in together. So some of this stuff we're gonna see how it actually functions and behaves, and I expect it'll be fine. But, you know, you never know. I might have a config screwed up in one device or not, and we'll just kind of go through it and figure it out. Yeah, making tech sense. I am too. I mean, there's so much stuff now with integration and APIs and automation that, you know, a lot of this could be something that, like you said, you have everything managed within Smart Zone, done. You pull it in, you're done with it, right? That's your management platform. And then you use that to perform your software upgrades. I mean, that makes it super easy too. So just having that flexibility in management and config management is really what I'm looking for, right? It's super, super simple. So, all right, let's do this. Let's get this installed. I'm going to miss sudo commands all the time because that's what I do. But let's go ahead and do it. So first thing we need to do is get the EPEL release pulled in, because if you try to do a yum install Ansible, it won't show up. So we have to update that package and then just... So the thing about when you install Ansible, it is going to install Ansible and Python. So it's going to pull both pieces that it needs in, and it's already there. Okay. There also is an Ansible zip file, a gzip file, on our GitHub page that has Ansible there. So if you want to do a make file from there, you absolutely can. You can build it, compile it from scratch, go for it. Using this method, excuse me, I've actually had success with it thus far. So I've been okay with it. But, you know, to each their own. Some people like to compile this stuff from scratch, and I don't blame you, you know. All right. Yep, Brian's exactly right. That's one thing. That's the thing I love to say during classes is, you know, you've got a toolbox. Our job is just to give you every single tool that you need in that toolbox so that you can fix any problem or manage any problem. So, spot on. I completely agree. This is going to kind of take its sweet time, I think, but that's fine. One thing I was going to do... Well, let me look at something real quick, because I think... Where's my GitHub link? Did I lose it? No, I didn't. It's right here. Not that one. Not that one. One thing we'll need to do is we're going to have to download something. Let me unhide Putty real quick, or Firefox real quick. There's one thing you need to do as well is you've got to pull this package from the support portal. No, you can't see that. Hold on. You can now. So you need to go to the support portal, log in, go to downloads, and then just navigate down here to whatever ICX model you want. It's available for all of them, and you need to download those Ansible modules for ICX. And then we're gonna have to move that onto our Ansible server. So that stuff has to be there. I've already downloaded it, so I'll show you. I'm gonna just do an SFTP copy of everything in a minute. But just so you know, you have to have that. Otherwise, you're gonna be out of luck because that's where all the modules are, okay? Bring that back up. All right, let's see if this thing's done. Hey, it's done, cool. Okay, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do, whoops. So we're in the Ansible directory now, okay? And if we do a list on it, it's gonna have an Ansible config file, it's gonna have a host file, it's gonna have roles. This is just raw Ansible. It's here, do whatever you want with it. We're gonna make it our own, right? So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna go over to my SFTP piece. We're in the Ansible directory of it now. Actually, I'm gonna reconnect to this because I wanna make sure I'm in the right directories. Yes. Okay. Go ahead and get into the right directory here. Ansible. I'm going to move all these over here. Actually, I'm just going to move this one over here because this is all I need. This is the one, if you need to install this version of Ansible from scratch, that's the one I'm talking about. You can do it. We need the modules right now. That's the main thing we need. Okay. Whoops. I just minimized on myself. All right. So now if we list this directory, we can see they're there, right? So we're just going to do a tar xvf ICX Ansible modules. Oh, told you I was going to miss it. Okay. Now it's there, right? That's it. Simple. It has a release notes file in here, if you can see that in green. So if we just do a more on it, it'll give you basically the directions on how to do this, right? This is exactly what you need to do to install these modules. So we're going to do a sudo plus X, easy install, and then we're just going to do, boom, done, just like that. Okay, everything is there. That's what we needed. So now I need to do we need to pull the examples out because that's where all of the modules are that we need. So we're going to do a sudo tar xvf ICX examples, pull all those out, right? And then what I'm going to do, because so the Ansible config file that's in this directory, this one here, and then the host file, if we do a CD into examples, and then we list that, it has an Ansible config and a host file. I'm going to take everything in this directory and I'm going to move it up a directory so it just lives in my Ansible directory. It'll overwrite my Ansible config file. It'll overwrite my host file. I'm fine with that. That's kind of what I want to do. So I'm going to do a sudo copy force, and then I'm going to do it up a directory. Oh, shoot. Is it capital F? Nope. Well, then let's do this. Is it R? I don't know which flag I'm looking for. Well, let's just move it and see what happens. I know what I'm doing. I guess you have to give it a file name, right? Okay. So we just moved all that up. There it is. Okay. You have to specify a file. Oh, I probably should have slept more. Okay. Here's all of our different playbooks that we have, right? And we're going to go through these and play around with them and, you know, just kind of go through it. But one thing we need to do, the main thing is we need a host file. So more hosts. And what we have here is just kind of a stock default host file, and it's fine. But the server I tested this on, I already built this host file out. So I'm going to use this one because I had a little bit more success with this. I'm just going to change some things with it. So we have an Ansible user, we have a lab123 user. Depending on the playbook, I have both usernames configured in the ICX. Excuse me, so they'll both work. But I have groups set up here. So Corp1 is the 3 corporate devices. It's the 2 distros and the stacked set of switches. I've got the same thing for Corp2. And then in the data center, I have every device that's in there. And then I have another group with all. And that's everything that's included in this entire exercise, right? So I'm just going to copy this. And I'm going to go in and nano that file. And then I'm just going to paste this in here. Oops. Okay. Oops, that's not going to work. You know why? I should have just done this as root. Okay. Sudo is your friend. All right, so now if we do more hosts, we can see everything's in there. It's all there. It looks great, right? Okay, so let's toy around with the Corp Site 1, right? All right, first. So if I do an exit and then I enable, I'm going to get a password. Okay, so let's test this one step further. I want to see the IP interface on the management interface. That's what we're going to connect to. So just to make sure that we have connectivity to everything, SSH Ansible and then we'll use this, and it's going to ask us for our password. Oh, it's going to ask us for the key. Okay, can log in. Oops. Okay, so we can SSH to it. We have connectivity. Everything looks great. So what I want to do now is I want to mess with the playbook. So let's do sudo nano playbook banner. Okay, and it has all these facts in here, right? So here's the Ansible password, the Ansible username. This is your username, password, your enable password. So I have it set up in the ICXs and everything we're touching that these exist here. Okay, so all of that's there. I don't have to worry about it. But let's say we want to configure a banner. Oh, actually, this is the part. So host all. Okay, we don't want to do all. We want to just kind of toy with this and do one. So we're going to do Corp1 because remember that group exists in the host file, right? So now that we have that, we're going to go down here and then we're going to do our welcome banner. This is a multi-line piece. So I'm going to take all this out. And I'm going to take this over here. I'm going to say, welcome to RUCKUS Live. Please don't break me. Okay. That's it. We have our playbook, right? Just to verify it. So what we're going to do is this message should pop up once we execute this playbook. It should pop up in these devices whenever we run it. Okay, well, how do we run it? Ansible playbook, and then we just do playbook banner.yaml and run it. Oh. Oh, it hates my tabs. Joe's laughing at me right now because he knows that I always screw up the syntax in these. So there we go. So lesson learned, don't use tabs. But it shows we're doing it on the play is for Corp1. We're going to set incoming on remote devices, and then it'll just report back if it's working. I'm doing this way on purpose because I want to show you something when it's done. Joe, you know me too well. Okay, we have a failure. Now, where's the logging for this? It's not there. So what I'm going to do is sudo nano ansible.config, and I'm going to show you right here, logging is off. Okay. Now this will log to a file. So I did that on purpose. Now I have to figure out why this thing actually failed. And my guess is going to be... well, let's try something. So SSH... oh, wait, that's not what I wanted to do. This could be a username and password issue. Okay, it's not. So, I think it's the variables it doesn't like, because there's nothing specified for Corp 1 and Corp 2. So let's do something. Sudo nano playbook banner. And instead of Corp 1, we need banners on everything. Let's see if this works around it. So we're going to do this on everything. We're just going to push it out and see if it blows up or not. And then we sit here and cross our fingers and hope that it actually works. Nope. It doesn't like something in Ansible facts. I wonder if I missed something in that playbook that's uncommented. This will have logging on it. But the logging is pretty much what it just spit out, right? All right, so let's see what failed on this play here. User root. Connected. User auth is okay. Authentication password failed. Okay, so we have a failure somewhere. So, which password failed? SSH access by user Ansible from this source rejected. Okay. I wonder if I lost my... oh, that's gone now. SSH user Ansible. I think it's not sending a password is the problem. So let me do a quick search here. Yep, that's what it is. So 2 seconds here, let me fix it. Yeah, I can SSH to it. It's just the SSH pass phrase is missing. So the funny thing is, I swear I looked at that earlier, and the password is just Ansible, so it's going to be whatever. And oops, no. There we go. All right, let's see what happens now. I just don't think it was sending that password. I think that's why it was failing. But having the logging is nice, because remember when we started, there was no logging. So then you uncommented that out. So yeah, see, look, it wasn't sending the password, because now it's changing everything. Well, except for those. Okay, so these ones are okay. So we'll dig through the log and see why these other ones failed. But now, if we SSH into this guy, we should see the banner, right? They should. I don't... That's a good question, Brian. I don't know. See? Look, it has a banner. Welcome. Don't break me. That's what we wanted. All right, so like Brian said, let's check one of these and see if these guys have the Ansible account. Oh, I'm just going to SSH to it. That's not going to work. That's why. The enable password's wrong. So... So this is the crummy part, is we have differing passwords in there, so it's going to fail. So we'll just jump in and fix them real quick. Yeah, and it is, John, you can do that. I just haven't gotten to that length and extreme with it yet. Uh-oh, not what I wanted. Okay, that one's done. Okay. Enable super... I don't care if that's written. We're almost there. Bear with me. We're getting close. As you can tell, my password structure is really complex here. Oops. I do not feel like my brain is firing on all cylinders today. All right, there we go. 2 more. We're almost there. Oh, duh. Hey, honey, how's work today? What did you do? Oh, I watched Matt change passwords on a live stream. It was awesome. All right. Never fails. You deal with this many devices, you're going to have something happen. Okay, I'm tired. I'm going home now. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one. No, I'm just kidding. Alrighty. Okay, we've got it. So now, for the fun of it, let's run that again, because one thing I'm curious about is what it's going to do to the ones that had already changed. So if it's going to change them again, or if it's going to leave them alone. It might double it up, it might not. This is where kind of host file management comes in, you know what I mean? But yeah, it looks like the ones that it... yeah, look at that. The logic's there. So it knows the other ones are okay. It was already there, so it's just gonna change the ones that it hadn't touched. So that's pretty slick. So we get the output, everything looks great. Heck yeah, that's cool. So let's check this one. So this one changed. So let's do Ansible at. See, there's a method to my madness. There it is. Okay, and now let's look at one of them that it didn't change. Still there. Pretty slick. Cool. All right, let's do this. So we're gonna do a more playbook command, and let's see what kind of commands we have in here that we can play with. So I'll just go ahead and more all the way through it. We'll look for one that's kind of interesting. So let's look at, let's just uncomment this first one. Test contains operator, or yeah, this one's really cool too. You can turn inline power off, retry. You know what? This is what I'm thinking. Oh, the other thing too is with the host, you can specify individual hosts for these if you want. So if you want to get this in depth with it and you want to do single hosts, go for it. But you know, you have that flexibility. You can build your host file out any way you want, and then you can just reference that in there and be done with it. So, okay, let's do this. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to uncomment this entire thing and see what it does. All right, that's what we're doing. Because why not? You know what? That's why I like Nano, because I can do that in Nano. It would have taken me 20 minutes and 4 Google searches to do it in VI. Sudo more Okay, the whole thing's uncommented, so let's see what happens. Oh, that's why. Dang it. This is why I like this application right here. I hope you can see this. So this is Visual Studio Code, and I love this because I can go in and tweak these on its own, because right now what it's complaining about is that something's not aligned correctly. And the biggest problem is I don't even know how it would have to align. I'm guessing this way. Yeah. Take this whole thing. This is my one complaint about YAML, is its formatting. Match any. Okay, let's do this. I thought there was a way to do a multi-copy and paste on here, but I could be wrong. You know what I should do? Instead of fumbling around with this is what I'm going to do. Watch this. I'm going to make this really, really easy. I already know where I screwed up. Okay, I just replaced the file because I don't want to sit here and battle this thing to death all day. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take any of these with names on them are fine. So I'm going to take these and just kind of take both of these. This should line it up. I'm going to save that. So this should kind of line it up the way we need it. Doing that, that's why doing that nano, it's fun. It's great to like find and replace, but I think this is a little bit more picky. So now, oh, I'm in the wrong host. Sorry, hold on. Now let's see what happens. Nope, same thing. It doesn't like, didn't find the expected indicator. So let's see here. My name is off. see if that's there. I'm not, like I said, not a Linux expert, so that's where things like this really screw me up. Uh-oh. Stream Deck just blew up again. So let's see what happens now. Nope. See, it says it did not find the expected this indicator. So let's do this. Here's a way to do this. Whoops. There it is. Okay. We just used the banner one, right? So if we look at the banner one, name lines up right under the H in hosts, and then everything is one space in from that. So name. Wait. Where was it under tasks? It's right under the T in tasks. So man, this thing's got me all screwed up. To name that. And if you look at the next piece, it should line up right with that. I think this is the issue. Copy and then wait for. And we have a console right here. Let's just use this. So, and this is being run as root. So Ansible playbook command.yaml. Still doesn't like it. So switch. Oh, wait. Hold on. This is where I'm screwed up. Corp2. All. Save that. It doesn't like this. Oh, wait, this is the wrong. I know what I screwed up. This one isn't even there. So this one isn't finished. So I'm working on the wrong thing. I'm more worried about the syntax than anything. So, because I pulled that one in. Let me do something real quick. I'll show you this. Sorry, I got backwards and crossed up there and I didn't mean to, so. tar xvf ICX examples. Okay, I'm gonna pull these back out. I'm gonna pull that command one back in. Playbook command. This is what I wanted. This is the original raw one where it's just doing a show on interfaces. And this way we should be able to get it pulled in correctly. Okay. Okay, that's what I was looking for right there. So if we bring these in, if we just pull out the comments, it should line it up where we want it. Okay, let's try this again. Oh, wait, nope, that's not ready yet. Hosts, we want all. Okay, so hosts are there. Everything looks good. I'm happy with it. Now this should work if it doesn't freak out about the syntax. And it does. Test contains operator here. Oh. You can see how this is. Where is it pulling this IP address from? That's what I want to know. Okay, let's go back to this. Get back to the actual CLI on it. I wonder if it's because there's not a comment on that piece of it right there. That's the only place I can see that address in there. Test contains operator. There we go. It was that operator it was trying to actually run that command. So, of course, I have my head stuck in the clouds worrying about the actual syntax, and I'm not paying attention to what I'm actually doing with it. So that's kind of the most important piece right there. But now it's running through and it's doing all of it. So one thing with this too is it's going to spit this report out at the end of it. At least it should. And it's just doing I think it was just a show interface. And when it does that, I want to actually look at and see what the output on this is, but you can always carrot this into a file that you can look at later, right? So that's what it says. Message is the result. So it's showing you all of this. If you needed to, you could just pipe it out to a file. You would have it, then you could go review it because my buffer is not going to be large enough to go back through all of this, but it's doing a show interface and it's showing all the interfaces, which is great. And it did it on every device. So now you have this logic here that you can work through as well, right? Okay, so let's go back to this one and let's try a config one, okay? That's port speed and duplex. This is an access list. You can diff this against the received config. ICX config save true. ICX config replace lines logging on. This one here I think we could do. This should just be a write mem. Check no host name. You can pull the host names out. We could probably, yeah, because you can just cron this and it'll go in and back everything up. That's what I like about this copy one. Is this has upload primary flash, download primary, upload running config. So let's actually do this one. And this is one thing I'm wondering if this running.conf, because then it's going to push the remote file name. I need to look the syntax up, and Joe, hopefully you're here. I need the flags for how to include the host name, and I think it's just % hostname %, but let me look that up real quick and see. Ansible hostname variable. It should be use inventory host name. let's take a closer look at this and see. You can do this over HTTPS too. Remote file name. Let me look at this real quick. Give me just a second. I want to see if we can do this. Remote file name, host name. I think there's a way to do that. Let's see. All right, well, there's one way to find out. So let's do this. Upload running config. I kind of want to try this and see if it works. If it blows up, whatever, right? Inventory hostname. Remote server is 10.175.4.47. That's already all squiggly. Oh, I need quotes. Okay, I'm taking bets. Who says it's not going to work and it's going to freak out and blow up? Let's see what happens here. Oh, I need a path in there. Remote server, it should be remote path, maybe? That's remote destination, maybe. Well, let's see what happens. I'm just curious what this does on its own. Line 32. Did I not pull that over enough? I guess I didn't. Yeah, I think remote file name is going to be... Well, I don't know if it uses the default SCP path because there's only one anyways, right? So, but it's not going to know what that is on the remote side. Thanks, Making Tech Sense. It's good to see you. Yeah, it doesn't like it. I don't know why that thing gets so jacked up. Okay. Could not match supplied host pattern. Oh, that's why. Let's see what happens. So yeah, this is super awesome. I just don't know where it's putting the files. We're going to have to do a little searching to find them, I think. I think if we had a remote destination in there and put the actual path in there, it would probably dump them in that folder, I'm guessing. And we can try it. Like I said, I wanted to see how it would handle those variables that we put in there and just see what it does with them. But it says they're all okay, so let's do this and just see. Nope, didn't put them there. Didn't put them there. So, yeah, we don't really know where they went. Oh, yeah, fair point. So, if we use the Ansible... we use that lab, so... I don't even think... That's not even there. Nope. So, let's do this. Let's tweak this a little bit. And we're going to add something here. And it should be pub upload. Okay. Ansible. Ooh, we got a lot of logging in here. That's not going to work. Okay, let's see what happens. I'm curious to see if this remote destination takes or not. I don't think it's gonna. This is a guess. Joe, you owe me a high five. You didn't think that was gonna work either. Now, the real proof comes in is if it's actually putting it in those directories, because I don't know if it is. Nope. Unsupported parameters. All right, so then I think... Once again, I have to admit this every single week, but I think Brian's right. So let's try this. I almost don't want to look. This is like a train wreck. Like, you know what's coming, you know what's about to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So you're just kind of waiting on it. Maybe he's going to take it. Fist bump. Knuckle sandwich, baby. Really? So it didn't take the actual inventory host name, but it did put the IP address in there. So I think what I'll do is I'll play around with those parameters a little bit, see if we can tweak that and clean it up and get it to use the actual host name. And I think a lot of that's probably going to come from the host file. So when you get the host file built and you can push it out that way, you know, then it should be able to put it up that way. So I just need to look at syntax in there, because obviously I'm a syntax moron because I can't figure out YAML files to save my life. But yeah, I think we'll be able to do that. So, but all these playbooks are in here, and even these ones like facts, right? So you want to go in and pull, gather all of this information, like collect the interface facts. Let's try this one real quick. So hosts all, we'll save that. And then what I'm going to do is when I do this, Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Go away. We're gonna pipe this out to a file. And now it's not actually going to show me anything because it's dumping everything into that file. I could have put it in the background, but we'll wait and see what that comes back with and spits out, and then we'll just kind of go from there and play with it. So, yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. So, like I said, I mean, a lot of this really depends on what you're trying to manage, how you need to manage it. Brian makes an excellent point. You know, you can do a cron job with this, and then you have all of your backups happening at a cadence. And the beauty of Ansible is how flexible it is. So you can kind of sit down and figure out what you want to do with it, where, what makes sense, and give you that flexibility if you need it, right? So that's the piece of it that I really like, is how flexible it really is for you. So yeah, this is what it looks like. So when this thing's done running, we'll kind of take a look at it, and then there it is. So let's do more. Let's do it this way so you can actually see it. I'm going to do this so I can stop using sudo. So more facts. Okay, and it just goes through the entire play. It just dumps it in here. So, okay, here's the result. It's going to give you all your IPv4 addresses on the device, all your v6 addresses. It'll gather the host name and the net image and all of this. So it pulls a ton of information out of here and really gets you to look at that. Yep, to simplify the understanding of the formatting, any line or segment following a colon needs to indent one single space further until the end of that section. Yep, that's a perfect way to look at it. And I kind of knew the one space thing. My issue was getting that first dash to line up where it needed to be in the YAML file for it to pick it up and read it. So that's what I have to look at. I think it's, looking at the files, I think it's, I'm going to misspeak. It is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 spaces in. So 4 spaces, and then each line after that is 1 space over if there's a colon on it. So, okay. Thanks, Brian. Cool. But yeah, this is pretty slick. It gives you all this information, so you have facts about everything. It's great if you're trying to pull out and do an audit on everything. You know, it's tons and tons, but it did it on every single device. So it's pretty slick. Okay. We're going to play around with this more tonight. So come back, check it out. We'll play with the host file a little bit more, see if we can kind of clean some of that up a little bit, and then we'll really be able to kind of make it shine, you know what I mean? So I can't thank you enough for joining. Thank you, everybody. Like I always tell you, ruckuslive@comscope.com. Send us suggestions on what you want to see on a live stream. And thanks for tuning in. It was good to see everybody, and have a good day. Take care.